Immortals MVP jungler.
Thank you very much, Riv. Yes, I'm here with Rainover from Immortals. Victory 2-0 over Echo Fox. There were some struggles there back and forth in that last game. And I got to ask you right off the bat, what happens to the calls when your team is getting behind? Like, what changes?
Oh, well, last game was like pretty disaster for us early game because I died at level 1 and then Rek'Sai was having like pretty good early game because he just normally clear his first camp and he was level 2 and then he kind of can like pressure me more by coming to my blue or coming to my red, but thankfully he didn't do it, so I could just come back to the game after that like big mistake. And like when we are behind on the game, like we kind of like fail on the top defending with TP. I think they just make play on top and then we lose like 3 kills and we give like Caitlyn 4 kills, which was really bad. But after that, we know that our comm scales really well too, and then we just have to like farm up until we have Israel second core, 2 cores. So I think we just try to farm up. Like we don't like even though they make mistake, we just still like keep saying out to ourselves like hey, let's just wait, not take the fights, and then just wait for our burst back, and then we just wait.
Awesome. And Immortals, it seems like you guys had a 17-1 regular split last season. I feel like we're seeing more mistakes out of the Immortals squad overall. What do you think is contributing to that?
I think it's like before. I think before like everyone like play super aggressive because like we felt like we're just a better team, and like right now like even on practice like we're not as like super dominant as Spring Split. So like I think we're still like working on our teamwork. I think we're getting really better. So I think maybe like end of the split, I think we can be like the Spring Split Immortals for sure. Do you think it's
Immortals that have fallen down a little bit, or do you think it's the teams in NA that have kind of stepped up?
I think for sure teams in NA stepped up a lot. Like now they have like really good rotation, like they have really good game knowledge, and that they make less mistake than Spring Split. So I think it's also like us struggling a bit because we had to fix our issues, but that we didn't know in Spring Split. But also like at Summer Split, the NA teams are like playing really well as compared to Spring Split.
And I heard that your performance coach, Robert Yip, has not been working with you guys this split. He's working with your CSGO team in the Immortals organization. Do you think that that has contributed at all in any way, or are you guys pretty self-sufficient with the coaching staff you have?
The job that Robert did for us was pretty big, but like we had like our meeting that even though Robert cannot like help us right now, but we should just like really like coordinate as a team like to do his job ourselves, like be responsible. So I think we're doing pretty well on that thing. So I think it's not about that.
Okay, awesome. And final question here. You guys have CLG on Friday next week. What are you thinking about that match?
I think like CLG is definitely a good team, like, but I think they're kind of struggling a bit right now. But I heard that they're like tryharding really hard right now, like, so I think it's gonna be like really fun match to play.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Rainover. Congratulations on the victory in the 2-0. Now we're going to send it over to Dash, Mark, and Crumbs to break down that game.
That's it. It's still the 3 of us. I haven't gotten rid of these guys. No, Immortals 2-0 victory. That's why we've got necessary.
Do we really need him?
We got the
Oh, come on.
The analyst desk and a host.
Let me help you out by kicking off this segment. No, Immortals 2-0 victory over Fox in a game that Fox, I think it's safe to say, should have won.
It was Christmas for Fox. I mean, Immortals just giving out advantages left, right, and center, losing the jungle matchup in the invade, losing bot lane on the defense, and Fox couldn't do anything about it. Like, what more could you get to try to win the game?
I mean, you
Nothing.
look at... Yeah, right.
I don't think you could do more.
You look at this team composition, Immortals switching things up pretty significantly between games 1 and game 2. We see the Zyra support come in with the Ezreal AD carry, the Rumble of all things picked into the Aurelia. So Huni showing us that lane matchups are not something he really cares that much about. He's going to play that champion to fit in with the team comp and what they want to do. And they do execute on it late game. I'll give them that, but let's dive into some replays and look at this lead that Fox was gifted so early on into the game. 6:30, 3 for 1 in the top lane. This is already after Keith on Caitlyn was able to pick up an easy first blood.
Just watch how Fox plays this. Like, most teams will play this really aggressively. Froggen turns around here. He needs to chase through and finish off those 2 targets so that it's like this. Huni doesn't have a chance to kill Keith here. I mean, luckily he doesn't, because like Hard flashes in really aggressively. But this shouldn't be close at all. I think this is like an indication that Fox really doesn't play that well as a team, because that's like if you put Immortals in that situation, like where do you think Pobelter is? Where do you think Rainover is?
Alistair Big was tanking the turret. He took 2 extra turret shots in the time that Froggen probably could have walked by the turret.
Yeah, he
in order
didn't have
to
turret
still
aggro.
stay involved in that fight.
So yeah, and these are signs of a team that may be starting to lose faith in each other as players. You know, you're not backing each other up fully for each play. If you commit everybody at the same time to ensure that the job gets done and don't leave until it is, then the play looks a lot cleaner, and that's how you want to play League of Legends now.
Yeah.
But Echo Fox just nowhere to be found. And after that, we need Grignate, or we need the jungler to actually stay in the dual lane and just pressure nonstop, because that advantage with 4 kills on Caitlyn should be game over, turret after turret, but none of that happened.
Just go ahead.
Oh, I do want to credit Immortals a little bit. So what they did is after they died, you know, Fox pushes in the wave top, they recall. Immortals heads to lane, pushes that out, and then once they see that Fox goes top again, they recall and go bottom to do a turret trade. And then once they swap back top, well, they also get a dragon off of, which was Infernal, so that was another good thing. And then when they go top, they actually drop a ton of wards in the topside river to make sure that their bot lane is safe in the long lane because they just lost that turret. So Immortals did a pretty good job playing safe, but there's no reason that, you know, Fox can't just go walk up there with their jungler, like you're saying, and take control back.
Which what happened was they were just focused on the fact that Irelia can beat Rumble, a split push threat. We're like, okay, let's just help the Irelia out. We have a good matchup. Instead of focusing on the actual in-game and what happened, they kind of stuck to the plan in the beginning of the game and didn't recognize that the advantage was no longer in the Irelia, that your win condition is now Caitlyn. And failure to recognize that as a team puts them in a position to not win.
I love this distinction too, that this is the team at fault, not just Keith, right? It's not, most people say, well, Keith had the 4 kills. How could he not carry the game? No, it's not about that. It's about the team recognizing, okay, our gold is on the Caitlyn. That's the priority, the person that we need to continue to push forward, that we need to protect in team fights, because here's the sad part. This statistic right here, Keith, 10.2k damage dealt to champions in this game. That's the second highest on his team. Give him that. Froggen was up at like 27k on Victor. But he was lower than 4 members of the Immortals squad. The only person that he beat was Rainover, I believe, in terms of damage dealt. So when you are gifted 4 kills early and you aren't able to top or be near the top of the damage charts, that is definitely a breakdown within the entire team, and not being able to play around you and the carry champion that you are on that Caitlyn. This is all, of course, caveated by the fact that Immortals is a good team.
Yeah, I mean, you saw them dive that mid lane, and they just instantly ran at Keith and insta-killed him. And sure, the dive turned out to be like 3 for 3 overall, but at the end of the day, like...
Right, so this is where I do want to say that, of course, there is fault and there's blame and there's criticism to throw at Fox for the performance in Game 2. But we do have to remember they are playing the likes of Immortals, and they do make plays. We already went through some of them to get themselves back into the game. I want to hit another one. 33 minutes into the game, we're going to see Fox teleporting into that bot lane. It's going to start with a 2v2 here. This is, the TP is going to come in from Huni here to make this a 2v2. And eventually we'll roll ourselves up to the Baron. It's going to end up being a 4-for-1 in favor of Immortals. This is kind of the closer to the game.
This is welcome to the Rise zone. Like, you're not going to... Rise is just so strong right now, and trying to actually make a play on him, again, it's the same concept that we talked about during the laning phase. Stop trying to make a play on your Irelia. Use the Caitlyn that had that massive advantage. And it's failure to capitalize on the mistake that Immortals made that ends up stalling this game out to a point where Ezreal is an even farm, even items against Caitlyn. That should have never happened.
Right, and then they turned to go really aggressively on Rainover, but he's an Olaf. You can just ult away from anything that you're really trying to do.
And the TP in from Pobelter here.
Yeah, so Pobelter finally rejoined after Adrian had a nice disengage, and they just turned this completely on its head after turning another play on the other side of the maps. They turned 2 plays at the same time, and then go back to pick up the Baron. It was kind of just game over from there.
So it is an interesting case study of one team throwing their advantage away while the other one is making proper moves to get back into it. That's going to take us to our player of the game, Rainover. Rainover 1-1-8. His only death being that first blood that came at level 1. So, you know, for him, it's the story of having made a major mistake at level 1, but recovering from it beautifully.
Well, I love when the player plays Olaf and has very little death, because that champion requires a lot of restraint. Because
It's a little easy to go overboard.
It requires so much restraint. How many times have we seen Olaf just pile in, throw old ghosts and try to dive the backline?
Right.
Axes thrown left, right. It's like, oh, not enough damage,
The
and
team's
then run
four
back.
screens away.
Exactly.
Like, dude, we
Like,
can't run
guys,
through that
where's
stuff.
the follow-up? Like, that's the same question every time. And every time he plays Olaf, almost every time, he has a lot of restraint and is capable of controlling himself and being with the team at all times. Although, to be honest, the GA did help in staying a bit alive, but well deserved.
Especially from behind this game. You know, we're used to seeing Reignover take this Olaf and crush people. Here, he was really not able to act like he normally does, and so to only have that one death in level 1 is pretty impressive.
And it's a champion that he's been playing for quite some time now back in Europe, showing mastery of that champion when he was the only person playing it. We've seen a couple other people, Dardoch being one of them, who's picked it up. So we'll probably see a little bit more Olaf, but all in all, Immortals going to be happy with yet another victory to throw onto their schedule or onto their record for them. Before we check in with NALCS 2 for the remainder of the day, we want to check in on the current standings. TSM is, of course, in first place, with Immortals taking second now behind them. Team Envy is currently 1 slot ahead of Cloud9, while Apex and Liquid are tied at 5th. CLG are ahead of the bottom teams with 1 extra win. Today's matches in the Battle Arena are complete, so we're going to hop on over to our second series from